Well, the Republican primary debate has wrapped in Tuscaloosa, and it was a heated one among the four candidates who qualified.
The candidates got through several topics in the minds of Americans as they try to gain momentum heading into 2024.
And News 19's Lauren Layton joins us now again live outside the Moody Music Building in Tuscaloosa with more from one of our political analysts.
Right, I'm here with our analyst, Jay Town. Jay, you were in there and you have endorsed Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. So first of all, how did he do tonight, in your opinion?
Well, I thought he did well. I was hoping that he would come out and be, on the attack just a little bit more. He tends to tout his record in Florida, which is stout and stellar. But we're hoping that we would see him go after, especially Governor Haley tonight or Ambassador Haley tonight, which he did. I thought the line of the night, honestly, was when he was talking about the boys going in a girl's bathroom, and he said, "You killed it, I signed it." I thought that was a pretty powerful line. Another powerful line was when Chris Christie went on and on about parental rights, which is a genuine thought that I know Governor Christie has. But then Ron followed up right away with, you don't have a right as a parent to abuse children. So he had a good night, and I really think that the debate itself was really fun to be a part of and fun for Alabama to have.
And the debate covered a lot of topics similar to those. We also talked about the border. We talked about things that we've heard before. Is there anything that you wish was asked that wasn't?
Well, here we are on a college campus, right? And it's not up to the debaters, the candidates, to come up with the questions, but I really would have liked a more robust discussion about Title IX. Men and women's sports on college campuses especially. I think that's an important topic, and they sort of whiffed on that.
And let's talk about the border. That was something that every candidate got to speak about. And the one who took a different approach was Vivek Ramaswamy. He said it was more about mental health when it came to the fentanyl crisis as a result at the border. What do you make of that?
Well, Ramaswamy, frankly, and I hate to sound this candid, and I really am using my sort of tools as a political analyst, he just doesn't know what he's talking about. The addiction level in this country, yes, there's mental health involved, but the criminality involved in the production and the trafficking, the sale, and then the later ingestion of fentanyl and methamphetamine that kill 107,000 Americans a year and have been doing so since about 2015. To blame that all on mental health and not addiction and criminality and organized crime is just naivety. And that is where I sort of depart with Ramaswamy quickly.
And we have time for one more question. Let's talk about Christie's hinting, I wouldn't exactly call it an accusation, about the vice presidency. He pointed at his competitors, especially Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, and said they're not insulting former President Trump because they might be gunning for the VP role. What do you think about that?
Well, I know Ron DeSantis is running for president, not vice president, but as far as insulting Donald Trump, I think the candidates do have to be mindful that there's a lot of Trump voters out there that they're trying to get into their camp. So by insulting him, you're insulting them, and they're smart enough not to do that. You can be against sort of the Trump world without having to insult, and I think that's what at least some of the candidates are trying to do. Not Ramaswamy. He can't help it.
Jay Town, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with more on the debate at 10 o'clock. For now, live in Tuscaloosa, Lauren Layton, News 19.
Jay will tell you what he thinks.
Yeah.
Donald Trump did weigh in on this tonight. He told the Wall Street Journal at one point, and tonight at this very moment, as the JV team of Rhino globalist candidates stand on their little league debate stage, we're witnessing the plot unfold right before our eyes, which he's referring to for him to not be president. That's what he's referring to there. But he did weigh in.
And of course, all of this is building up to Alabama voters voting in the primary coming up on Super Tuesday on March 5th.